Good morning. I'm out here Saturday morning working on the green Travelall again, continuing to strip parts. Today's list of things to do. First thing I'm going to do is power wash it. Second thing I'm going to do is pull the tailgate down, see if I can get the tailgate off. The third thing I'll do is cut the heater box out and get that cleared out of the way. And then I think I'm going to start tearing the dash down. I might need the wiring harness based on some stuff I found in the last week about the wiring harness I was sent by Scout Connection. They're looking into a replacement for me, but I'm going to see if I can have a good backup on hand, if at all possible. So we'll get started. Here's where we landed. This thing looks about 1,000,000 times better now. What you can't see is the stuff up front where the growth on the hood and the fenders was just super thick. It looks a hell of a lot better now. I mean, it still looks like a piece of junk, but it looks like a better piece of junk. I'm going to see if I can get this tailgate open. I was actually able to get part of it open earlier, so I'm going to give this another jimmy and see if I can do it. The thing I did was followed some advice on the binder plant and actually went back and lowered the tailgate or the windshield just a little bit more to see if I can get it open. So let's give it a try. There it is. So as you can see here, it's open, but it's very much bent or skewed in some way. I can't really tell what the story is there. I don't know what's going on. Looks like this hinge here might be frozen or something. I can't tell because this side right here is definitely closer than this side, and I can even see here it's skewed up that way. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but it's off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these bolts off now that I can get to them, and take this off and then see about taking this whole thing apart. I'll probably pull these sections and I'm just going to pull this whole tailgate off, and that way I've got room to store things. I can push stuff back in there. I've got to move the benches and everything later, but right now this is the primary goal. Sweet. All right, the tailgate is open. I've got the inside piece off, and now I'm trying to figure out how to disassemble this. From what I can gather, all I'm going to do is basically take this ball and this ball off. This is funny. This is roller tape. This is the stuff they use in my house. Back when my house had casement windows, you would use this and replace the lead weights that were in the sash pockets in your house with these things. I have a box of these downstairs. Actually, I may have gotten rid of it now that I'm thinking about it, but I had these before I replaced all my windows. And this is like spring loaded. So clearly I've got to be careful, but that's all these things are. That is hilarious. I can't believe that. Actually, I think what I'll do, because all this just goes through here, I'm just going to take this and this off, and this whole thing will come off as a unit. That's what I'll do. The other thing you can see, I don't know if you can see down here, this entire thing is full of rust and garbage. The bottom of this window looks pretty rough, but the window itself is in good shape. So I'm going to baby this as much as I can. This thing probably weighs a ton. So yeah, we will be careful now. At this point, I put a really good dust mask on and cut all of the straps off of the seat cover on the front bench, and then gathered it all up and threw it all out. It just sort of crumbled in my hands. Disgusting. Then I got a shop vac and shop vac'd out the dust of the Pharaohs off the top of the seat. And I found a couple of interesting treasures while I was there. See, it is actually, I wish it was in better shape. I would clean this and throw it in my truck until Jeff is finished with mine, but it's got some wear and tear here. A couple of things I found under the seat cover. This Burger King 21 game, which dates back to, I don't know if you can see the thing there, 1981. I found a pull tab, which was kind of fun. But the cool thing is, check these bad boys out. Those are going in my truck. I'm going to pull these out and put them in my truck. That is pretty sweet. Here's something I didn't see before either. What is this? Oh, it's trying to hide on me. Oh, nope. Triangle of something. Probably like a matchbook cover or something. Anyway, I'm cleaning this off. I'm going to pull this bench seat out so I can start working on the dash. First, I've got to get I'm going to grind the heater out, but I'm going to see if I can get this seat out today. At this point, I switched over to the angle grinder to remove the nuts off the bolts on the heater box. They were frozen to the bolts, so I had to be really careful, but they came off and then the box fell into the cab. And then from there, I had to switch over to the vacuum and vacuum about 5 pounds of rust out of the bottom of the cab. All right, so the heater came out, not without a fight. This is the barrel of the cowl vent. This actually belongs on the truck. So that might give you an idea of how bad this is. The floor of this thing is covered. You can see here it's covered in rust. I scraped out with a shovel another probably 2 pounds of rust in between the last time I vacuumed this and today. So there, I don't know what I'm going to find behind this glove box here, but I don't think it's going to look good. So I've got the heater down. I had to wangle with the, I had to really sort of futz with things, and I wound up actually cutting into the hose down there, which kind of sucks, but this thing is in pretty rough shape. I don't know if I'm going to be able to save it. I'm going to try to get it out in one piece and take it inside and clean it up. Maybe I can fabricate something. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's in pretty rough shape. But the metal is mostly there. I mean, the bottom corner is, I don't know if you can see that. The bottom corner is pretty well gone. So if anything, I might have to bend a new box for it or something. We'll see. Right now, I'm going to see if I can get this connector off. So I've got to thread that through the hole here, and then I've got to figure out what this connector here is. That's probably for the fan or something inside. And then I've got to start basically taking the dashboard apart so I can get the dashboard off. So that's where we stand right now. All right, I'm going to make a quick pit stop while I'm waiting for my food to finish to take care of the important business in the themed fridge here. Gotta just make sure this stuff stays cold. So I'm waiting for some lunch to heat up, but right now I'm just sort of going around the front of the dashboard here. I've got to figure out how I can disconnect that thing. I'm waiting for the PB blaster to soak through on some of the bolts on the heating element there so I can disconnect that final control so I don't have to disassemble the entire dash, but I'm just sort of taking things down. This seat actually looks, I mean, apart from this part, it's actually in really nice shape. I might just take this out today and slam it in the red bus for the time being as something I can sit on, because it's in really good shape, and I really want to see what's under this floor. I mean, you can see there, that just looks like, that's just terrible. And I bet it keeps going underneath there. So we'll take a look at that in just a couple minutes. All right, so I got the heater out finally, and this is what is left. It doesn't look good. You're looking at it from the side. This is actually the top. This is the part that comes out into the cabin, and it is in pretty rough shape. So look at all the wires out in intact and everything. I was able to get the vent out intact. That all went really well. It's pretty far gone. I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff in here. I got to vacuum it out. I'm going to disassemble it on the bench downstairs and clean it up and see if there's anything I can salvage out of it. But it's in pretty rough shape right now. Let me take you around to the front. This is what is left of the floor. It's just trashed. And then I don't know if we can get up there. That's what the cowl looks like. There's nothing left. It's in really rough shape. I'll put a light on this in a minute. But yeah, it's in pretty rough shape. You can see this stuff is still kind of smoldering. I've got to scrape it off and get it out of here. This is from the sparks. I had to use a cutoff wheel to get a bunch of the bolts off of this thing, and they threw up and they hit the insulation here. So I've got to basically get rid of that. But yeah, this. Let me move this over here, maybe you can see it better. That's really bad. But there's a cowl vent, or what used to be the cowl vent. Let me actually put this right here. Right there. Okay, so that's the inside of the cowl right there. This is the whole vent. Now it's actually part of the rubber from the vent, or some of the mine had this too. It's like some weird, sort of weird rubber, maybe seam sealer or something, just like gooped on there. The interesting thing about this is this has a seam of rust all the way down the A-pillar. Mine actually doesn't have that. So this one is actually in worse shape than mine. The seam there is bad. This whole area is bad. And like up in here behind the glove box is bad. Mine actually wasn't as bad as this. So I'm actually feeling kind of good about mine at this point, because I've been looking at this green truck thinking, man, I wish I could save this green truck. I know that's a very dangerous thought, but parts of this are in much worse shape. And then, you know, looking at this floor, like the more I vacuum, the more the floor disappears, which is just kind of crazy. And then here's the fuel hose that goes to nowhere. I'll just lift that up and show it to you. This is another, I think this might be a fuel feed hose that goes to nowhere. So yeah, this is in pretty rough shape. All right, I got a couple of treasures to share with you. The first one is a pull tab can of Genesee beer, Auburn, New York's finest. R1 Brewery makes it best. Oh, Genesee Brewing Company, Rochester, New York. 12 fluid ounces. This is probably, I can't even, 1505. I don't know what that other number is, but that is incredible. Oh, and the pull tab is still inside. That's outstanding. This one is going up on the shelf. I'm super happy about that. And then the other is weird, crazy, I really kind of don't want to touch it, Pinocchio head. Lord only knows how long that was under there for, but yeah, I found him under the seat. Here's what the seats look like. Let me jump in here really quick and show you. Here's what the passenger seat stand looks like on the inside. It's getting pretty crispy. The rust goes right up to the edge here and to the outside here. And then on this side, it's actually come through. So you can see it's actually getting structurally a little kind of funky. On that side, it's really bad. I haven't cleaned this up at all. I've spent some time cleaning up that side, but I haven't really touched this side. So yeah, all along here, all that moisture set in. Looks like there's been sand in here and stuff. And all along the outside. And I mean, this whole floor is really rough. Basically, the cab is held together by the transmission tunnel at this point, and the outer sills, which are actually in better shape than the floor. So next up, I'm going to try to get these seatbelts out, because these seatbelts, again, are super cool. So I'm going to see if I can get out of the truck and get a bolt or a wrench on these bolts and try to get these out. Here's something cool I found when I pulled the seatbelts off. All of these are actually labeled International Harvester, which is really pretty cool. 67 would confirm the model year of this thing, and of course the buckles themselves are really cool. I didn't see any on the bench seat itself. I'll have to look again and see if they are in there. I think probably what happened was these clips here are for the seat belts in the back, and this is the side lap here. So I'm going to pull these, and what I might do is I actually might cut these out of this floor before I junk this thing, just so I've got those, and I can replace them, or at least I know where they are. This thing is in such better shape than the one that I've actually got, the one that I refurbed from the red bus. I mean, this one isn't bad, but when you put them up side by side, I mean, this has got a lot of divots and stuff like that. And I mean, I treated it with rust inside and out and really cleaned it up and painted the base part red. But I mean, this one, with a few small exceptions, there's a little bit of rust under here. This thing is beautiful, so I might wind up using this one instead, because it's like 100% put together. The rod that went across to the pull over there broke at some point, but I was going to fix that on the one that I've got anyway. So yeah, this is a workable unit right here. To get all these brake fittings out, I did the old trick of heat and then penetrant, and then heat and then penetrant. I think about 3 or 4 different cycles, and got 2 of the fittings to come off relatively easily. The other one just sort of twisted and broke, but that's pretty par for the course. So right now I'm working on getting the brake booster and the clutch cylinder out all at the same time. I'll have to get the brake fluid out of the front cylinder here, and I got to see, I think there's some in that one too, so I've just got to siphon that stuff out. But I'm just taking my time with these fittings, trying not to round them off before I take them off. The cylinder here actually has fluid in it, but I couldn't get a whole lot to come out. I actually got in and pumped the brakes a couple of times and forced some of it out, but I've got to find a better way to drain it all so I don't dump it all over the driveway. Okay, so this is trailer brake going in. This one is probably rear brakes and this is front. So just so we know, this one goes to the front coil on the firewall down there. This one goes to the rear coil, and the trailer brake is split off the rear brake. Okay, so that would make sense. All right, so that's how this is set up. All right, it's about 5 o'clock and I'm wrapping up for the day. It looks like it's about to rain. I see a couple of raindrops, so I'm going to put the covers on the cars here and get things done. Had a pretty good day. I got a bunch of stuff done on the truck. I'll show you here really quick. Tailgate's down. Front seat is out. It's cleaned up. I have to cut all these things off. I'll probably do that when I turn off the camera here. And I've spent a bunch of time in the cab, cleaning up the cab, just getting this ready. You can see here, this is even more threadbare than it was. I'm feeling better about parting this thing out than I was before. This is in much worse shape than my truck. As good as it is, and as the bones of this thing are still really good, you would just have to basically cut the whole front pan out and replace it if you were going to do something with this truck. Next step is going to be the dash. What else can I tell you? Yeah, I got all the controls out. The other side there is clear. Up front here, I'm in the process of taking the brake booster out. These fittings are off. I have to take the clutch fitting off, drain the system. The bolts are all empty, or the bolts are all loose, so I can basically start pulling that stuff out. I do hear rain falling, so I'm going to turn this off and get the covers on the trucks. This is the cowl vent barrel that came out of the green truck. This is the same cowl vent barrel. Actually, let me flip it upside down so you can see it. This is the same barrel, same side from the red truck. You can see this isn't in great shape. It's, it's chewed up on the bottom here. It's chewed up around the back here, but it's still in one piece. This is what came out of the green truck. There is nothing left of the bottom of this thing. It's all gone. And what was there basically fell down onto the floor of the cab, and I wound up vacuuming out all of the oxide particles that was left. So I thought that was kind of an interesting, it's just sort of an interesting comparison of one truck to the other. It looks good, or it looks okay on the outside, but the bones of it aren't as good as the red truck. So I'm in the red truck now, looking at the original seatbelts, and it looks like this original seatbelt is going to fit right in there. Look at that. Beautiful. So, yeah, all I got to do is replace those with these. Nice. So I let these dry out in the sun this afternoon and just figured I'd mount them in here to see how the front seats look in here. And I think the seat looks like garbage, but it's nice to actually have a bench seat in here that works well. That's mostly covered. And it's nice to be able to sit down in this thing. I can pull them out really quick. It's just basically 4 bolts that are finger tight at this point. But yeah, it was really fun to sit in the front seat of this thing for the first time and imagine myself driving it. Which, it's been a year since I got this thing and I haven't driven it yet, and that's kind of a bummer. It's killing me, but one thing at a time. She'll get on the road. Hey, thanks for watching the channel. I appreciate it. To keep this thing going, I've got a storefront up at threadless.com. I'll put a link in the description. See you next time.